In summary, Earth's population turned to stone after a strange ray. After 3700 years, Senku wakes up, builds a scientific kingdom, defeats enemy Tsukasa, and puts Kohaku behind bars in his quest for survival. So what happened next? And here I burst in with my brief retelling of the main plotline. In this video, we will get to the device that will petrify people, so this is a retelling, a continuation, or maybe the third season of Dr. Stone. Let's put it this way, the arc of season 3. Most likely. While I'm feeling the pulse, so let's do it this way, 20k views and I'll make a sequel. We start. Senku, the scientific kingdom, defeated Tsukasa's kingdom, then Hilgo injured Tsukasa and Senku defeated him. To save Tsukasa, he decides to find the petrifying beam, to freeze Tsukasa and revive him, as after this procedure deadly wounds are healed and Tsukasa is brought back to life, and while he created the cryocapsule to freeze him. In general, they are setting off in search of a place where petrification began. The mentalist organizes a contest for drawing a ship and everyone offers their options, but in the end, Senku wins. It was a trick of the mentalist, as people will follow those they have chosen themselves, not those who were suggested. Next, Senku asks the journalist for a favor. The journalist found the right people to revive Tsukasa. In general, since she is a journalist, she knows information about all people. They need someone who is born of a sea storm, who feeds on corals and pees salty water, someone who massages with a whale's penis and scratches his chest with his mighty testicles, but not finding the savior Dwayne Johnson, revives a guy obsessed with a ship, the ocean of a captain named Ryusui. Parallel ship construction started, showcasing Ryusuya's talent. Due to wind, humidity, and intuition, he predicts a storm. They promptly cover materials, impressing everyone with his coolness. By the way, Ryusui is pronounced as a water dragon in Japanese. Interesting fact, to build a ship capable of crossing oceans, they need fuel, and they decide to first obtain oil. The team, led by Chrome, is going to search for the island of Hanshu in the port of Shutseka. Super hearing and supervision. Parallelly, Risu prints money and says that all the oil will belong to him and the Senku team will have to buy it from him. Roma's team arrived at the assumed location, and it turns out that over a period of 3700 years, the landscape has changed due to the volcano, and using old maps for search is not an option. And with the help of cash currencies, Visa Senka makes people work to extract hemp. Hemp is needed to build an airship, and with its help, oil exploration will go quickly. In general, balloons used to be made of hemp, and here comes the Yuzuriha sewing team into action. And she demonstrates how everything is done with a spinner, but because it takes a long time, she asks the scientific team to make a loom. Fabric received. Fabric not dense. Jen starts competition for best fabric. In parallel, Yuzuriha sews fashionable clothes from unsuitable materials. And Risui buys everything, thus a ton of money is obtained. After using complex mathematical calculations, Senku calculates to what height the balloon can rise and how many people it can accommodate. 3 people. They need Risui, as he understands the direction of the wind and all that, and with the help of Gina they sell a ticket for a hot air balloon for a lot of money. Received even more money. Therefore Senku, Ryusui and Chrome sit down and go upstairs. Chrome freaks out about this. Destination point Ishigami village. Where did Kron run away for 2 days? With the aid of the ball, they will reach their destination in a few hours. Thus, as they fly west in Japan, the prevailing wind flow is from the east. They can fly west with the help of a natural phenomenon called cyclone, by the way, thanks to which thunderstorms occur. First, they will reach the village and then fly in search of oil. On the way, they come across a storm cloud that began to suck them in. And with the help of Chroma's resourcefulness, they cling to the air current that lifts them above the storm and thus overcome the obstacle. After arrival at village, they replenish with seafood delicacies. Then fly further. Chrome stayed in village. Kohaku flew because she possesses sharp vision. In general, they are similar to opening up an area in some game where there is something to eat. Here we learn that the village of Shigami used to be bigger, but it has decreased due to hunger, and the children decide to develop agriculture first and look for seeds. And plus, for long swimming in the ocean, food supplies are needed. They find wheat and start cultivating the land on the Kant Plain. The workforce enters the stage. Wheat fields are created using acid balance fertilization, Taiju, king of food or land. So they harvested wheat, but they know how to bake, but it turns out tasteless, and modern people don't like it. They choose to revive the chef from stone, but the miracle water is gone. It will take months to recreate. Where to find? And here Ryusuya realizes that a journalist can have a stash. With the help of Gina's manipulations, they extract water and go to resurrect the cook, aka Francois, aka Dvoretsky, Ryusuya. Ikeya will make pastries out of anything. She examines what they have achieved and starts working. Senka gives requirements for baking that is nutritious, long-lasting and tasty, and enough for 10 months. Francois agrees, reads a rap about minced meat, dough, layers of lasagna, and draws "cross out my illnesses." Yes, they were unanimous. Okay, she says she needs a goat scarf. Fruits, alcohol, dried fruits, sugar, berries, and nuts, and so on. In general, the baking is done. After the meal, it turns out that Jean promised something to the journalist in exchange for the miracle water, and she starts demanding her reward. But for this you need Kasaki, who is in the village, but he has already arrived on his new Gorilla 2 car. With double pistons, Senku whispers in the ear. Clothes fly off, he starts. Senku and Chrome create a mirror. Recipe. Next, mirror in mechanism by Kaseki, and voila, camera created from the placed mirror. Journalist and camera. Then they made an additional 12 of them for celestial discoveries. Process principle. Heat rututu. Treat in pairs. Rinse with fixing solution. In the photo, Senku is posing as the world's most famous scientist. A photo has been received. Then these two do aerial photography in the area in search of oil. Autumn is coming, the harvest has begun, and with them comes hard work. Francois begins searching for food ingredients using aerial photos. To nourish the rural workers in the field, Francois chooses to prepare pâté from wild boar with truffles. In general, they start breeding wild boars. Next, Kahaku with his supervision finds a black spot. In the photo, which is oil, Francois and Suiko searched for mushrooms for truffles. The team searched for a long time, but did not find, and it comes to mind that boars can help them. Interesting fact. In 1872, people found a deposit in Sagara with the help of a wild boar. The boar smelled of oil, so they let him go and followed him. So they discovered oil, and then they find an oil field. Sagara deposit open, oil extracted. They test raw materials using boat to ensure flammability and necessity of the resource. Senku tells him he'll create GPS. Everyone is shocked. What's the principle in general? To emit powerful EM radiation from a satellite, and instead of a satellite, a land lighthouse will serve, powered by a water generator. They check the signal by sending a beacon to the boat, and then they catch another powerful signal. Continuously transmitting signal using alphabet and Morse code, Y, that is, or Y. So, 5 tacticians in the strategy meeting room are discussing this incident. In short, unknown what, unknown who. Long ago, an event occurred that froze everyone on the planet. Our heroes referred to the presumed villain as Pumaka, but there are nuances. Senku responded to the signal, then complete silence. In general, a mysterious and unknown enemy to defeat. How exciting it is. Next, the muscular team grinds Valorite into powder, mixes it with water, pours it into a flask. The sediment settles at the bottom and directs a beam to this bottom using an electron beam. And it turns out the monitor screen, or an electron beam tube. In short, the principle is the same as old televisions. With a quartz crystal, an electronic wave is sent, drawing a map with dots. In short, a radar is created. If you connect this thing to a mic instead of an antenna, you'll get a sonar. And they'll figure out why using this method. Then they catch fish, a lot of fish. Guys are entering the industrial era. We need a lot of metal. Chrome uses ingenuity to make metal detector, finds ore deposits, creates mine with his invention, creates a network of tunnels, then minecarts, then builds a road. Asphalt is created using oil residues and gravel. In general, first by trolley, then on asphalt, then by river, deliver the cargo. After that, they encounter a problem, shipbuilding. Here they show us the backstory of Ryusuya. In short, in childhood, he once recreated a model of a ship with all the details on a scale of 48:1. And if he recreates all these parts of the ship, then Senko with the help of his brain will easily increase it to the necessary size. Construction is in full swing. In general, that's how the whole year goes. In winter, they were skiing on skis made of carbon plastic, and at the end they took a group photo with those who stay and those who sail away on a ship. On Sept 10, 5741, the construction of the vessel named Perseus was successfully completed. Perseus is being launched into the water. The name Perseus is a reference to Greek mythology, the hero who defeated Medusa, who turned people into stone with a single glance. Symbolically, in general, Sanko, Chrome, Koseki, Yuzuriha, Yukio, Francois, Labor Force, Magma, Kinru, Dinru, Prisoners Hyuga, and Homura, Kahaku and Gen are sent swimming. The initial destination is Treasure Island, where the Soyuz space crew made a landing a long time ago. There are remnants of a spaceship, and its own history rests there. The new arch was moving. Dad Sanku long ago left a treasure with rare metals and minerals on the island. And the hints will be those same 100 stories. Tori begins to tell these 100 stories one after another. Senku needs platinum, with which you can make a lot of miracle water. And in parallel, Jen talks about the number of Donbar. In short, one person can keep track of a maximum of 150 people and maintain communication. Hello army and units. If you revive anyone, chaos will ensue, and with the help of platinum, you can create an infinite source of miracle water and resurrect everyone. In summary, they require platinum in a treasure chest. The chest is a Soyuz spacecraft, but they are unaware of the island's location. And then, a guy from the power squad jumps out and says that he is nameless. In childhood, he was found on the shore of Ishigami and adopted. In fact, his name is Soyuz, and he is from the same island, and he knows the coordinates. In short, there are still survivors. In the past, a team of astronauts landed on that island, and after a while, they reached Japan, specifically the village of Ishigami, and went on a tour of the ship. There is also a mobile laboratory here. It will come in handy later. Then a storm begins, and they sail to the island, and Senku suggests flying to the island under the cover of the storm, as they do not know what awaits them there. And it's better to quietly find out everything. The storm is ending, they manage to hide in the rocks, and 4 of them go on a reconnaissance sortie, namely Senku, Soyuz, Jen and Kohaku. Next, it turns out that Suika sneaked onto the ship. After Yukio, with the help of sonar, finds 2 at the bottom of the stone statue. So this island was uninhabited until the arrival of the astronauts, which means that the petrification occurred much later here, and Ryusui catches whoever is watching them. After that, we move on to number 4. Kohaku notices something shiny. The ship is not responding. Both Jen and Soyuz are going back and see such a picture. Everyone on the ship turned to stone. Returns to our scientist and reports everything. After Kohaku finds discarded mollusks, Senku determines with science that they were recently thrown away, and that it was a woman. Possibly an ally following their footsteps. The Gene has a criminalist, finds a hair later. Science and hair assessment determines her location, mountains, island depths, where she lives. Builds a possible route, and they follow her and find her. Local beauty, which 3 guys are hitting on. They overhear the conversation, and it transpires that she is a candidate for the harem of a ruler who punishes those who are unfaithful. Then the individuals merge, and our main characters meet this young lady. Her name is Amaryllis, and this island is governed by a certain ruler. Senku asks about the chest, and Amaryllis runs away, hearing something, and it turns out that the fans of this girl have planned a rebellion to save this girl from the ruler. But then Senku intervenes, using science to create tear gas and suppresses the rebellion. Recipe: girl explains motives, saying she wanted to get closer to the local leader and take revenge on him personally. Witnessing this, Science decides to join our heroes. She proceeds to share her backstory, explaining how 5 years ago, she and her peers made the decision to venture into the ocean for a swim. However, a boat carrying the ruler's right and left-hand servants, Mozu and Kirisama, who monitor order and stop curious individuals, approach them by sailing up. After Kirisama throws something on a rope towards them, and they turn into stone. But Amaryllis survived, as the beam stopped right in front of her nose. Our scientists guess what it was. Amaryllis says that everyone is afraid of the leader, they think he is a sorcerer. She witnessed at that moment that it was a weapon of some kind and is aware of the truth, suggesting stealing this object. Senko includes Sherlock Holmes and explains about this thing. Namely, this thing has a radius, it's a throwing weapon. And it can impress the owner, so it's science. And the assessment with science on a short leg. Every year, beautiful 18-year-old girls are supplied to the leader from the village. And Amaryllis will take. And she will charm all the men and take the device. But since the device is worn by a woman Kirisame, it means a fighting girl is needed. And Kohaku suggests that she be chosen too. In general, from Kakaku, you need to turn a fighting girl into a beauty. Science to the rescue. Operation Kakaku, Beauty Queen. To apply makeup and other scientific gadgets, they need a laboratory on wheels, which means they need to hop on a ship. After they see how the ship has already been taken, and they introduce us to the villain named Ibara. But Amaryllis says that this is the Prime Minister, and the ruler is much younger. Then Kahako, seeing that Ibara is breaking the stone comrades on the ship, rushed there, and on the way meets Kirisama, and a fight begins. Kahako is amazed by the power of Kirisama, and then, hoping that there are survivors on the ship, she shouts like, "I need a laboratory." And here Jean turns on his charlatan and bursts into a brawl, and everything falls apart. Mole, Senku is a laboratory, and she called him her boyfriend. Kirill cools down, tells them not to threaten, and goes away. Survivors on the ship, hearing Kahaku's cry, finally understood everything. They need a laboratory. In the next chapter, we are shown the moment when they attack the ship, Namely, Keresama threw a device on the ropes and Resui thought it was a grenade, and Yukio shot this thing with his arrow and slightly shifted the trajectory, and then Resui kicked the Suika. Jinro jumped into the water and thus saved himself thanks to Yukio, climbed back onto the ship, cried or then hid. Then we return and observe that Jinro signals to his friends, and Senko and the others are not thrilled or pleased that the last survivor happens to be Jinro. After the islanders cast their eyes upon the deck and uncover all the riches of the strangers, specifically goats, tropical vegetables and so forth, then Suiko organizes a sabotage, creating noises and diverting enemies, and at that specific moment Jinra is supposed to steal the laboratory. But Jinra, the coward, decides to shoot himself, but at the last moment, taking the eggs in his fist, still decides on a bold act, and the laboratory with camouflage with the ability to swim reaches our friends, and the enemies follow them. But since they don't know about the technologies and think it's a beast, Senku decides to use science to create the smell of feces for greater authenticity. And with the help of Jasmine, he makes meat and sulfur, and then he makes legs, makes wheels, mined in laboratories. And then they hide the traces and find a cave where they settled there, and the islanders are looking for them everywhere. And the Operation Kahaku, the beauty queen, has started. Here is the transformation plan. First, shampoo with coconut oil, caustic soda, and sulfuric acid. Salt, oil, then conditioner is made using honey, coconut, and lemon. Next is chrome mica, magma, and powder ready. Sericite, iron oxides for powder. Next, perfume and lipstick, and voila, Kahaku is a beauty. Amorilis tries to paint guys, and it turns out Senkitian, Strojniashka Gen, Mazerasha Soyuz, and Genrotian. And Jinrotian goes on a mission. The day X is coming, and Morilius passes. Kahaku liked Modzu, and she also passes. Jinra too. Using signet salt, copper wire and stone, Senku makes headphones for Kohaku and gives them to her at the last minute. The next moment is how they will take the stone. Senku informs him that when the petrification device departs from the owner, specifically prior to the throw, the development of the drone initiates. In general, the angel Sanku penetrated inside, and A Sanku transmits the instruction using a headset, namely to make the telebody 1 and provoke her to throw it into a stone. At that moment, drone helps Senku intercept the stone. Drone development begins. We wrap wire around iron core, then another, let current pass, and voila, an electromagnet. We unite them, here they spin, the engine is received. Now they'll spend the day wrapping little things with wire. Engine needs to be powerful. Meanwhile, Angel's Charlie, that is Angel Sanku, going to Ruler. They get acquainted with the local guards, and Kahaku does stealth reconnaissance and learns about the chest. She must find a way to pass this info to Senka. Our scientists are acquiring an electric motor now, testing it on a car disguised as a rat, and sending it to the girls. They are unable to write, so they send back a rat with drawings. And here our chatterbox Jen comes into play and deciphers the picture. Under a tree where the leader dwells, there's a Soyuz spacecraft made of platinum used for petrification. But the contents are filled with concrete for safety, and they need to somehow crush the concrete without noise. And Senka once more begins to create something, specifically a static crusher, which is utilized in residential regions to prevent noise. And he invents plaster. Then Kahaki sends with the help of trained rats, and she drills holes in the concrete, and from above two cover the small noise of Kahaki's dances. After Kahak removes sulfuric acid, then mixes calcium sulfate, inserts it into the holes and closes it. Gypsum expands and concrete fractures. She discovers sand in that location and realizes that it is an unusual occurrence. Dispatches Senku, and Senku communicates that this is sand fabricated from gold and diverse rare minerals, including platinum. And here they demonstrate how his father, Byakuya, gathered these uncommon metals in the river throughout his life, while Senku tallied the seconds, hoping that someone would discover it in the future and it would prove beneficial for the rebuilding of civilization. Here I exploded, and at that moment it turns out that Senku is Byakuya's adopted son, and his real dad was his best friend. As they say, family doesn't start with blood, but it doesn't end either. In general, platinum is obtained. Next, nitric acid is produced, and Bara notices strangers on the island. Heroes go to ship, see statues throwing off factory, breaking them before. Need person to find everything from bottom, pieces along sea currents in order to collect. Again, when they draw they take, and to ID a stranger, residents must break the statue of drawing. Senku devises plan, says Kohaku, smashes Ruri's statue into pieces. Brilliant strategy. And then the mechanical rats deliver the captain to Senku, and voila, they revive him. And the next candidate for revival is Old Man Kaseki. In order to raise the Kasaki from the bottom of the sea and not run into islanders from the ship, Senku decides to invent scuba gear. An oxygen cylinder is constructed from the exhaust pipe and is then filled with oxygen. It takes a total of 10 hours to create scuba gear. Drawing a union, they go swimming. By the currents, and by the memory of the union, they find all their comrades and communicate with Senku using a signal. Rope handed down problem. Sight stuck in sand, less and less oxygen. Rope passed from above. What to do? Iris sends a signal using Morse code through a rope, saying to throw the miracle liquid, and with its help they revive Taiju, and he digs up the old man. In general, the mission is done. They go back to the Bat Cave, they want to bring back the old man, but he lacks one detail on his back. And at that time Taiju brings the details. He held his breath, plunged, and dived to the bottom of the sea. So he will slowly drag his stone comrades, and Senko and the others find a piece of an old man and revive him. Koseki is resurrected, and it even got better. All the old age ailments disappeared, and they start developing a drone. But before that, need to fix the laboratory. The first and most important detail is the propeller, plastic and feather, spinner, the bearing, small iron balls for repair or for the bearing, and in parallel, Taiji has already dragged everyone, even hooked extra. Clocks ticking, miracle water created, impossible to resurrect everyone at once. Don't attack with whole team, they have ace up sleeve in form of drone already created. We proceed to our girls, where Jinra was summoned to the leader, and the reason behind his hysteria. After suspecting Kahaku, Modzu reveals that Jinro possesses a spy gadget, specifically a pineapple containing saccharolacetate, a substance that induces feelings of nausea and dizziness. She needs to spray it in the leader's room, and thus he passes by where he finds Ibara, who tells him that he is a sex tester for the leader. Well, he kind of tests it first and then passes it on to the leader. We move to our strongest fighters, where the guard attacked Kahaku. Then Modzu flies in, saying he can handle her alone. Kakaku with the words Zasankui, scientific yard. Shoot point blank. Attacks. And there Ginra sprays pineapple, and Ibara turns off. Next, he examines and finds a statue of a leader with a very familiar face. In short, all this time Ibara ruled here under the name of the leader from the shadows, who has already awakened, and Muzu rolls up Kahaki during the battle with her. Ginra runs out. Ibara pierces. Kahaku picks up. Ginra explains to Kahaku. Understands. Ginra is dying. Kahaku forbids. Then she forces to use the petrification device, that is Medusa, to heal Ginra's mortal wounds. Kirisama throws Medusa, and we see the device. Then petrification, and in the end she tells Amaryllis to pass everything to Senka. Meanwhile in the cave, Yuzuriha is resurrected and quickly gathers the details. The main team and the second pair, Kaseki and Super Slew, are also resurrected. And at that time, Amaryllis comes to them and tells everything. From the information provided Amaryllis, they quickly put everything in its place. I'm going alone, and Kirisama doesn't know the master has turned to stone. And here comes Modzu sneaking up from behind, who followed Amaryllis. Everyone is in shock what to do next, and analyzing Modzu's actions they understand that he wants to get rid of Ibara, since from the very beginning he knew about the spies and so on. Jen arrives on stage and the language battle starts. With manipulations and drone presentation, Jen helps Moji find their voice, which could have silenced Ibara earlier. However, Kirisama, loyal to Jen, stops Moji, and Jen, with the help of a few more manipulations, influences Modzu and conclude an alliance. Summary. Situation. Strong ally helps, but after victory becomes enemy. Aid turns foe post-triumph. Modzu, with a micro earpiece, heads to his point. Pretending to be an enemy in a hood, he will defeat the strongest on the island, and then inform everyone who will utilize a jellyfish. And the unmanned team will be in ambush, and will pick up the device during the throw. And at the same time, Kasaki manufactures parts for weapons against Modzu. Firearm. Traumatized. Weakness. Accuracy low. Local sheriff revived. Obtains firearm. The equipment is complete, they need hoods, and Amaryllis steals them. And so after Medusa's throw, a tug of war will begin, so the muscle team lifts. 3 horsepowers, Kinro with the words, nothing is true, everything is permitted, joins the team of assassins, well, like they're in hoods. Then, utilizing charcoal, they create a carbon rope, and subsequently employing a spinner and leveraging the gyroscopic effect, they stabilize the Senkulet and grant control and authority to Rishu. In general, the assassins perform, morning comes, and our heroes with them. Spearman's attack, mirror attack, Modzu's support, and now Kirisama decides to throw Medusa. And here we see that Ibara put on Kahaku's headphones. Next throw. And in the next chapter, Senku calculates the flight of the throw and realizes that it's a fake, and they all retreat. And Modzu creates an alibi, and the police Yo are unable to locate their firearm because Magna chose to handle Ibara personally and acquire power. At this time, the islanders are being herded onto the ship Perseus, to then cover the whole island with a beam. In short, the statue of the ruler remained on the island and it is necessary to show it to the residents in order to undermine the reputation and bars. They are divided into two teams. The first one will be by the statue of the ruler and the second one will be on the shore. They must return the gun. They spot Magma swimming towards Perseus, and our heroes pursue. The others head to the leader's resting place and find the statue shattered, with Bara taking precautions. Yuzuriha begins to glue everything back together, but realizes that she can't revive it. And the Union remembers everything at this time, and on the shore they board the Persians with 2 boats, catch up with the Magma, take away the pistol, and with the help of magic science make a fireworks display and the enemies leave the ship. But then Modzu appeared and the guys retreat to the deck, the situation is dire, and then Senku plays his last card. Brings back the prisoner, and Kinro hands him his golden cockade. Yoga in motion. Ibara comprehends that they have the ability to bring stone to life, and Yoga is evaluating whom to align with. Modzu understands, it smells fried, and wants to share with Hyogu. At this time Kirizame arrives, Hyoga made a decision, and a fight with Moji began. Nokpok returns to the island on foot, and the two of them dance. Meanwhile, Ibara instructs a soldier to take the jellyfish to the center of the island, and Kirisama orders his men to protect him during this time. The girl does not like that Ibara wants to let the soldier go and begins to have doubts about the situation. And at the summit of Mount Taiju, the statues of the ruler gleam and Ibara turns Kirisama into stone. Police shoot, Ibara drops, police pick up but don't know how to use. And in parallel, Yoga retreats and swims to shore, and there. Senku makes an improvement for the spear, lubricates the bamboo with grease, throws magma, Yoga catches it and impales it on his spear with his twisting style. With the words, "I am pro-dev," he wins. The cop with the jellyfish catches up with Ibar and petrifies him. In short, how does a jellyfish work? Need to say meters and seconds. Next is 2000 meters and 15 minutes, and here is Warashi, Ibara's soldier, running to the center. The Falcon's hearing perceives it, and Taicho shouts, "Senku!" They chase after him. Chrome arrives, and he explains that the petrifying ray travels at a consistent speed. Then they catch up with Warashi, who swallowed Medusa. Then a flash, petrification occurs. Senku activates Susanoo to hide from Eternal Tsukuyomi, but no, that's not it, he doesn't have Susanoo. In short, everyone turned to stone, Ibara won, end of the manga. Okay, just kidding. Then, Ibara lands on the island and notices that all the statues have lined up in the same poses. Remembers the escape of the Union and takes out Medusa, and then sees fresh tracks leading to the laboratory. And sees Senku alive, and shows us how he survived. Summary. All lined up, signaled when petrification started. Senku calculated speed using info, threw into water before petrification, back to puddle, reversing process. The principle is to fully immerse in a pool with miracle water, or to petrify after complete petrification. I hope I said it correctly. The commander's battle begins. Senku crushed by car, Ibara injures Senku, he runs away. Ibara has a jellyfish in his hands. On the way, Senku throws his magical liquids at him and revives Ryusuya. Senku is in a tight spot. Ibara throws Medusa 5 seconds 5 meters, and then Ryusui suddenly appears with a drone and wants to intercept Medusa while it's airborne. There is a tug of war, and they release their grip in the final moments. Medusa swiftly moves towards Ibara, who then hurls a hat to dislodge the device. Then Ryuji jumps and turns into a stone. At the same time, he attached headphones to Medusa. And with the words "J-Lo, just take the mind into the urn, Thurman, there are no myths and sexopines, then the queen of science, Notchbok won." And Bara is defeated. The petrifying device has been obtained. Then he revives his friends, but not all at once, but gradually. And at the same time, the village of Ishigami got in touch, but the battery died, and they came to the ship. And there is a pogrom. Repair will take some time. Then everyone is revived and Kirisama Toro shows where Kaharuko and Ginro are located. Then they contact the village, which states there was a peculiar signal from them. And at that particular moment, a signal is received from Pochemuchika, specifically measuring 12,800,000 meters and 1 second. By the way, the Earth's diameter is the same. Pochemuchika had Enku's voice, the end of the 3rd arc in the story. Damn, I wanted to continue, but let's leave it for later. Thank you for watching up to this point. Comment, like, subscribe and all that, and while I'll start with another manga,